local, live, late breaking. WESH 2 News Sunrise starts now.
And right now at 5:30, we want to get to some breaking news. At least 2 people died in a pair of crashes on South Orange Blossom Trail.
This all happened very early this morning. We have WESH 2's Hadas Brown live at the scene. Hadas, this is a very complex situation. Break it all down for us.
Yeah, Michelle, we really have a lot to sort through. FHP tells us there were 2 separate crashes here within just minutes of each other. There were 2 pedestrians killed, 5 others were injured, 2 of them good Samaritans, and FHP suspects that one of the drivers, who was in an SUV that went into the side of this building, may have been impaired. He was hurt along with 2 other passengers who were in that vehicle, and the other driver involved is on the run this morning. So really a lot to sort through. If we can take you back through how all of this happened. FHP says the red SUV hit someone who was trying to cross OBT and then went into a business. That pedestrian who was hit died. Multiple people stopped to try to help, and that's when troopers say a second car came through and struck 3 of those good Samaritans. 1 of them was killed and 2 injured. 1 of them is now in critical condition, and according to FHP, that car took off.
And it just speaks to people wanting to help. But we want to remind people, whether you get out of a vehicle, whether you are a pedestrian, when you get out to help somebody that's been involved in a crash, realize that you are vulnerable and you have to look out for your safe being as you're helping somebody else.
The people inside that red SUV were taken to the hospital. FHP now is trying to get together a description of the car that took off, and that could be complicated today because one thing, of course, that they would look for is surveillance video from businesses that are in this area, and some of the shops on this stretch could possibly be closed for the holiday. So we're going to keep reaching out to them throughout the morning for any details that they have that they may be able to pass on. But in the meantime, if your morning drive or if your drive today would have taken you on OBT, we're near 41st Street. Just be aware the northbound lanes over here are all blocked off. Reporting live in Orange County, Hadas Brown, WESH 2 News.
And we are following more breaking news this morning in Orange County. This is over in Winter Garden, where we're looking live near the scene where a man died in a shooting this morning. Investigators tell us 25-year-old James Bacon died. The shooting itself happened around 1:45 on West Crown Point Road. He died about an hour later. Police say this shooting stemmed from a weeks-long argument between Bacon and another person. Officers say they know who they're looking for. They have not released that person's name yet. We are working to try and get that information. We will bring it to you once it becomes available. Meanwhile, our other big story today, the 4th. It's going to be another hot day.
Yeah, we sweated it out yesterday. Heat advisories are once again in place. We want to send it over to meteorologist Amy Sweezey. Amy, is the heat advisory for the entire area?
It's not. There's actually fewer counties under it today, but there's still several spots that are dealing with the advisory, and that, of course, means we're getting to those dangerous heat index levels. It's that combination of the air temperature and the humidity that makes it feel so much more oppressive and very difficult to breathe. Heat stroke, heat exhaustion are happening much easier when you start getting to these levels. So Flagler, Marion, Sumter, and Polk are under the advisory for today. The rest of the metro area over to the coast is not. However, it is still going to be very hot and humid. So just because we're not under the advisory in some counties, we're still going to have the heat index anywhere from 100 up to even 107, 108 during the peak of the heat later today. Temperatures will climb. We've got a little bit of cloud cover this morning, but clouds will increase through noon, and then showers and storms will be developing. That is what will help put a cap on some of those climbing temperatures, but we're still going to be at least in the mid-90s, if not even some upper 90s, where the rain is last to arrive. We'll talk about the timing of the rain. We'll look at Futurecast coming up in just a few minutes.
From tanks to fighter jets and a speech from the president, today's Independence Day celebration in Washington, D.C. will look and sound different from what most people are used to. Jared Hill is in Washington with a look at what's happening in the day ahead.
So one of the biggest changes for the 4th of July here in D.C. is this setup right here behind me, the Lincoln Memorial decked out for President Trump's speech. It's what he's calling the show of a lifetime, but critics are worried it'll be too political and too expensive. This year's celebration of America also a showcase of military might.
It'll be like no other, it'll be special, and I hope a lot of people come.
At the president's request, tanks on display at the mall. And fighter jet flyovers will join the crowds and concerts in the nation's capital. The cost undisclosed.
It's going to be about this country, and it's a salute to America.
That new salute, a program honoring the 5 branches of the military. President Trump first floated the idea for a military parade after marveling at France's Bastille Day celebration in 2017. A Veterans Day presentation was scrapped last year amid reports of a multi-million-dollar price tag from the District of Columbia. This week, the D.C. City Council pushing back again, tweeting, "Tanks, but no tanks." Meanwhile, the Lincoln Memorial is being prepped for an unprecedented speech from the president, as critics claim the White House is making a political event out of a traditionally nonpartisan holiday. When asked about the message of the president's speech, the White House responded.
Thematically, how wonderful this country is, our troops and military, our great democracy, and a great call to patriotism, the success of this administration in opening up so many jobs for individuals, what we've done for veterans.
President Trump won't be the first to deliver a speech on the 4th from D.C. President Truman gave one in 1951, and while President Nixon didn't show up in person, his voice was piped over the mall back in 1970. Reporting in Washington, I'm Jared Hill.
And the president is scheduled to speak around 6:30 this evening.
The 2020 census is being printed right now without a citizenship question that the Trump administration wanted, but the Justice Department has reversed, saying now it's looking for a way for it still to be included. It came after the president said he was not dropping efforts to ask about citizenship, even though the Supreme Court blocked it. Initially, the Justice Department said it had to know by July 1st whether to include it so they could begin the printing. Department leaders say there may still be a way to meet the president's demands. Right now, though, it is unclear just how they'll do that. Breaking overnight, a Florida Amber Alert was issued for a child and a baby out of Holmes County. FDLE want to find 5-year-old Kason Page and 6-month-old Caden. Investigators say 25-year-old Joseph Page may have them. The kids were last seen on Highway 2 in Bonifay near the Florida-Alabama state line. FDLE says Joseph would be driving a 2014 white Ford Escape with Florida tag 0768TW. The car has an FSU tag on the front and back. If you see this car or either of the missing kids, you should call 911 immediately.
New this morning, Orange County deputies released some new images of a bank robbery suspect. Investigators say that this man here robbed a SunTrust in Hunters Creek yesterday. They say he walked right into the bank on South John Young Parkway and told the teller he had a gun. He then demanded some money and walked right out with the cash. No weapon was ever seen. If you do know who this man is, call deputies. New video shows the arrest of a man accused in carjackings in 2 counties.
Sanford police arrested Brandon Washington Tuesday. We told you about that yesterday. They say he cornered a woman Monday night and took off in her car. Then he's accused of stopping a teen in Orange County a couple hours later and forcing her into her own vehicle. She was able to get away, and officers said he took off. Officers said Washington was caught in that stolen Kia. He was supposed to be in court yesterday afternoon, but it didn't happen. Now he's scheduled to face a judge this morning. A Florida woman no longer faces a felony charge for taking her husband's guns and giving them to police. State Attorney Brian Haas says the case of Joseph and Courtney Irby boils down to a messy divorce. He also says the headlines don't give the whole picture. Courtney originally said she broke into her estranged husband's home and took his guns because she feared for her and her kid's life. Investigators said the day before, Joseph tapped Courtney's car 3 times with his bumper. Now investigators say sworn testimony reveals that when Courtney broke into the home, she grabbed a couple of watches as well as a camera and a computer, and that the guns may have been an afterthought.
There is no evidence to suggest that Mr. Irby tried to kill Mrs. Irby.
The state attorney's office is charging Mrs. Irby with a misdemeanor trespassing charge now.
New this morning, one woman's revenge plot turned into a pretty big payday for a waitress in Pinellas County. Police say 24-year-old Serena Wolf used her boyfriend's credit card to leave a $5,000 revenge tip on a $55 check. The victim reported the charge as fraud and told investigators that Wolf was either drunk or trying to get back at him for not buying her a plane ticket back to New York. Police say the $5,000 has already been paid to the server, and now some of the customers who eat at that restaurant say they're kind of split on whether or not she should give it back.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty petty, but I get it, how it happened, but definitely get the money back.
I mean, yeah, it's not her fault. I feel kind of bad.
Wolf denied leaving the large tip, and she has been charged with grand theft.
If true, that is an expensive New York flight.
Yeah, also,
Wow.
revenge anything, not a great idea.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
Just don't. All right, it's 5:40 now. We are getting you out the door. It seems like the sun has its revenge on Central Florida this week.
I know, it's just been so brutal. Amy, yesterday, our temperatures felt like they were close to 110, 112 degrees.
Yes, and today will be almost as hot as that. We don't have quite as many counties under that heat advisory, but it is still going to be very hot and humid. Yes, it's July. Yes, it's Central Florida, but the temperatures are warmer than normal. We're supposed to be in the lower 90s, and instead we will again climb to the mid to upper 90s today. Just a few clouds expected this morning. Temperatures are in the upper 70s. By noon, though, we'll already be at 90 degrees and then continue climbing from there. Through the afternoon, between noon and 3, storms will begin to develop, and then we'll see more storms as we head through the evening, continuing until about sunset. So most of the rain is going to end in time for the fireworks. Flagler, Marion, Sumter, and Polk are under the advisory, not the rest of the area, but even the places that aren't under the heat advisory, it is still going to be triple-digit heat index numbers through the afternoon. In fact, as early as 11 a.m., we'll start getting that heat index up there. Upper 70s is where most of us are now, so it is warm and it is quite muggy. And as you look at the feels like temperatures here as we get to 11 a.m., look at those triple digits. That's even before noon. And then continuing into the afternoon, 100 up to 105. We could get 106, 107 in some locations before the rain arrives. The heat index starts to come down this evening as the rain flares up. We'll talk more about the timing of that coming up.
She is one of the most talked about players at Wimbledon. She's young, and she was back yesterday to do it again.
She is just incredible. Delray Beach native Coco Gauff already beat Venus Williams in her first round, but was she able to do it again? We'll take you back to London, where the 15-year-old was hoping to keep her winning streak going.
Plus, the 4th of July brings plenty of fun, but for those with PTS, it can be a time of worry. How you can be a good neighbor and help those who may be suffering.
And if you want to see some fireworks in Volusia County, Deltona will have live music, games, and food vendors at Dewey Boster Sports Complex from 6 to 10 with fireworks starting at 9:15. There's also a complimentary shuttle service from City Hall.
Also, food trucks will be on Riverside Drive for an Independence Day celebration in New Smyrna Beach. That starts at 4. The fireworks going off here as well at 9:15. You can also partake in some live music.